All right, it's a special occasion. All three lads. Am I yelling too hard? Physical touch.
Nah, you look pretty good.
All right, cool.
You look pretty good.
Yeah, I just realized I'm probably talking way louder. As soon as we hit record, my adrenaline spikes. All right,
But I can actually, this is great because I can turn you down if you're too loud.
sweet.
This is so great.
Yeah, live podcasting is crazy. All right, anyway,
This is
3, 2, 1. Welcome to another episode of the High Performance Podcast. We got all three lads in the same room today, so that's always a special occasion.
Within
Hell
arm's
yeah.
reach.
How many times have we done that? No, it's only the once. Hey, sorry, this is the second time. Because in my head I was like, oh, it happened a couple of weeks ago. But no, that was just me and Jacob in the same room. You weren't down in Melbourne.
I wasn't
playing
in
any
Melbourne.
gigs.
No, like a big loser.
And yeah, so Jacob's up in the Gong. It's Jacob's first time in the Gong. It's first time going out of Sydney, being up in New South Wales. So it's been a hell of a week. So we're going to break that down in a second. But I just thought, I mean, I like to talk about myself and what I've been going through on this podcast as a priority over what the other boys are going through.
It's your podcast. Do what you fucking want
No,
with
so
it.
one
Your
of
day,
one
your
of the
day.
things, something that's been on my mind a lot lately is, you know, when I do the Q&As and someone will be like, I want to get into players. That happened like 2 episodes ago. Like,
Yes,
how do
it
I
did,
start?
yeah.
And I crash out. I'm like, what do you fucking mean, cunt? Obviously, you just fucking get into... Oh, sorry, it's not even that.
You get real philosophical with
What
them.
is it that makes me crash out? So I'm very utopian because so when they ask a question like that, like how do I get into plyos, I start to what runs through my head is like, why don't they feel like they can just start out a light dose and sort of just go from
all
there?
in here,
Try
I think.
2 legs,
Yeah.
then go to 1 leg, and the fact that I have none of their context other than I'm a bit of a runner and I want to get into plyos and I want them to have a context-based and nuanced answer. But then I was sort of reflecting on it and I was like, I think I'm being a bit utopian about that and it just makes me feel like Paul Carter. So Paul Carter, known entity in the fitness. If you don't know who he is, fucking go down that rabbit hole yourself. Pretty influential in the like bodybuilding, online hypertrophy space. And he's sort of notorious, one, for just blocking cunts. But also just for just yelling at people who like are genuinely supportive of him and just asking questions, who have a genuine sense of curiosity. He's like, oh, what do you mean, cunt? Why didn't you read the caption? Or like, it's such a stupid fucking question. I was like, I hate Paul Carter. But then I was like, am I being a little bit like Paul Carter? But then, and this is maybe, have I been too harsh on Paul Carter? Because maybe he's coming from a similar place. He just wants people to ask better questions and things like that. And because I don't want to give cookie cutter responses to people who haven't given me enough context because, one, I'm just not sure how helpful it is. But then again, I think sometimes just giving someone just a simple recommendation, you know, spoon feeding them is something that I try to avoid. But I think I'm going to be more open to that because I think like it's just okay to spoon feed people. And I think there was like this fear that I'd worry about, you know, someone sees them getting into plyos or something like that. Like, well, why'd you start out like this? And like, well, I asked Angus how to get started with plyos and he just gave me this highly specific recommendation and then them judging it because it lacks a bit of context and nuance. I'm like, well, what am I here to do? Like, my goal is to help people. My goal is to remove barriers to getting more generally physically prepared and training more variously and things like that. And yeah, I just think, you know, they can understand how to ask better questions later and down the track. And I should just prioritize helping people and yeah, just put that spoon straight in their mouth. So rather than being like, well, you obviously just start out with a small amount and you see how your body responds to it. Just be like, hey mate, do 3 sets of 20 leaps, do a couple of sets, maybe another 3 sets of 20 or so split stance leaps, and then work into some hop bound, give them a specific recommendation at a medium intensity. And
then give them
genuinely
the
helpful.
lesson after that.
And maybe it
Yeah.
will be a little bit too much, or maybe it will be a little bit too soft of an entry point, but it doesn't matter because that's an answer that's so much more likely to actually get them into it.
Totally. It's actually funny. I've been thinking
So,
about...
just sorry,
No,
just
go for
quick.
it, go
So
for it.
sorry if I seem like a cunt historically when you guys are asking good faith questions. It's just, like I said, I'm the problem. I've realized some things. I've done some reflection, and yeah, I'm just going to try to do a better job of just giving more direct answers, even if they do lack a bit of context and nuance. And like, that's okay.
I think that answer that you give is more for like just so other, or not that you give a fuck about what other coaches think, but just being like, no, this is
Being afraid of,
Yeah.
or never wanting to be wrong.
yeah, or as in like just being like, no, there's always context, and then
Yeah.
coaches on the other side being like, he's a good coach, but at the end of the day, it's like you're speaking to the person across from the podcast, and you give him that specific recommendation, but also then give him that little lesson at the end that.
And just be like, hey, it can be more complex than that.
Of course.
That's just a starting point.
Course.
Tends to be a really good entry point for a lot of people.
Open with the prescription and then give him that.
I think I was almost sort of thinking about, I feel like David Gray is pretty good like that. He sort of strikes a balance where he'd be like, it's not always this way, but this is what I end up doing with a lot of people. Give this a try and then see how you go with that.
Yeah, totally. I've actually been thinking about this a little bit lately, just in terms of like from different contexts, and then
like it's like if someone asks you like, oh Harvey, what's the best scale to play like a rock and roll solo, and you're like, oh come on, cunt, there's a million fucking scales and stuff like that, and like
but that's kind of what I mean.
Just be like blues pentatonic, cunt. Start, have a go at that.
Yeah, but it's funny because I've been thinking about it a lot as well, because like I think quite often it's like a little bit of, I don't know, like a little bit of like wisdom you hear someone saying once and you're like, oh, that's fucking genius. And it doesn't always make much sense to you at the time. And quite often you end up down the rabbit hole and then being like, oh, he was right. I heard that fucking forever ago. But I was thinking more in the context of you, because from the way I saw it, and I think you refer to yourself as a reformed meathead a bit. And like, so you weren't always
partially
like,
reformed.
Sure.
I still love maxing out every single week.
But you weren't always super hyped on plyos. That wasn't always something you did. And I'm talking like, well, fucking close to like 10 years ago. Like, it wasn't something you did. So there was obviously a point where you got turned on to plyos, where it became a real big part of what you do. And not just plyos, but like the more GPP aspect. But I guess just taking something like plyos as an example, can you remember, like, was it someone like turning you on to them? Did someone just word it to you differently? Did someone say it differently? Did you see something happening and kind of connect the dots yourself? Because it was obvious a point where you were someone who was like, plyos, like why? Or like you maybe didn't say, how do I do this? But like,
it would have been my brother
probably,
because he was into sprinting and he definitely would have given me some options. But like, honestly, until I learned about Matt Watson's system, like, fuck, my plyos training was a fucking shambles. I was throwing shit at the wall.
Totally.
Sorry, I think, Matt Watson. God, the glaze for Matt Watson. Let's have some good old-fashioned Matt Watson glaze. I think majority of the S&C industry was throwing... I could be projecting here. I'm probably projecting here. I'm not. No. I have my ear to the ground. I know what the average coach is thinking. 99% of S&C coaches were throwing shit at the wall up until they discovered Matt Watson's system.
Oh, he made it so systemized and simple.
Even
and
just having conversations about it. Logical, simple, trying to just be very clear about the language he was using as well and what it means, because a hop, a bound, and a leap is like so different to all kinds of people, depending on what corner of fitness you come from. And
it makes so much logical sense. Like, you can explain that concept and that system to any Joe Blow on the street and be like, oh, that makes sense. You keep 2 feet on the ground, then you slowly take one off, and then you're on 1 foot. Like, it's pretty dead simple.
And when you go through that, so just to take everyone back to the start, just a bit of an overview of the Matt Watson system. It is deeper than this, but the basics of it are jumping up and down on 2 legs is leaping, alternating between each leg is bounding, and then continuous jumping on 1 leg is hopping. And just going through that progression, fuck, it's amazing. And it's just so intuitive the way it scales. I mean, sorry, there's a pretty decent gap between leaping and bounding, and then bounding and hopping. And there's like a few drills you can sort of use, like the old hop bound and stuff, to smooth out that progression. But just progressing along that continuum, like leaping is such an easy and simple entry point. And hopping is this thing that, man, it doesn't matter how athletic you are, you're going to get something out of hopping. Also, if you want to see some elite hopping, go check out what Blaine McConnell posted.
That was awesome.
Fucking yesterday. Yep. I don't know when this is coming out. 5 days ago now, by the time you're listening to this podcast. He hopped for like 40 meters continuously.
It's crazy.
God, it was fucking clean.
Yeah, right.
I was trying to go to bed. I was like, Blaine, I'm trying to fall asleep here. You can't be fucking making contact with the ground like that.
So, how did you discover Matt Watson? Like, when did that happen?
Through David Gray in 2020? 2021 maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah. So, I mean, I get that your brother kind of like turned you on to plyos because he was doing the sprint thing. But like, yeah, was David, do you reckon David Gray kind of turned you on to it a bit?
100%.
Yeah, right. So that's what I mean. Like,
David Gray, David Gray, he was the first one. And I wonder if this is something that he sort of picked up from Matt Watson as well. But, just sort of the idea of like, it's okay to do soft landings. Not everything has to be stuck. or stiff as shit.
Yeah.
Even though like that is one of the primary qualities, you're often trying to train with plyometric training. And a lot of these softer landings technically aren't plyometric, according to the like textbook definition, because there's a certain ground contact time. What is it? A quarter of a second?
I think so, yeah.
That's typically when you look at the research, like, anything that's considered plyometric, we're only spending 0.25 of a second on the ground. But then like, that's unnecessarily specific, I think.
Yeah.
And unnecessarily constrained.
I think you just
It's
do
just
the eye
about,
test.
Moving faster than you were.
The eye test
Spending
is so
less
good.
time on the ground than you were. Well, not that that's always the goal. Like, again, I think a lot of people get too caught up trying to shorten up their ground contacts and just end up expressing fuck all force. Like, we're not trying to tap dance. It's like finding that sweet spot where you're being aggressive, producing a lot of force, and being quick.
The best thing about the progression model is that it exposes your flaws. Like if you hop too far, not using the hop in the actual plyo sense, but if you, let's say, go too far in the plyo progression model, you won't be able to actually do the thing properly. And it's good that it exposes you like that. So there's a way of you scaling back, whereas like with weights, you never know on the day, but you can just fuck around right on the spot and be like, I should probably do this variation today. And then you slowly go back up and up and up down the progression continuum until you get to obviously hopping at an elite level. But
God, hopping's good.
But yeah, I think that's whatever Matt Watson came up with was pretty spot on.
But yeah, I just think it's interesting because kind of what you were saying about like, some of these questions or the way people approach it, and maybe like the basicness of it kind of like gets you a bit. I don't know. I guess it just kind of makes me go like, when did you ask really basic questions about like that must have happened or someone must have expressed it to you in a way that made
agree.
you go,
No,
oh shit.
because I'm
No,
the
I
kind of
agree with
cunt
that.
who will just like have a crack at it before I ask questions.
Right,
And
yeah.
so
okay.
I'll have better questions because I just hate it when someone hasn't had a fucking go
Right.
and they have a million questions. And I'm like, can you have a fucking go? Because then one, you're going to have less questions and you'll have more specific context-based and nuanced questions. So I guess I just want everyone to be exactly like me.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't get so. But again, just I know that this is a silly thing to say. I'm just sort of,
No,
I'm expressing it
isn't-
a bit tongue-in-cheek.
It is interesting though because that's
Why can't everyone be as cool as me, man?
well, it's like it's that whole thing. Right? It's like as much as we spend or as much as you spend saying that like education is like such a big part of what you end up doing, like or however you structure your business, that's so much of what you do. But it's like I guess so much of education is less about the content, right, and more about how you phrase it so that people can digest it.
Yeah, and I just think as an educator, you just need to have more of a sense of compassion, which is something I struggle with.
Big time.
Because that was a big thing I went to therapy for. Didn't have enough compassion for myself, and that led to me being a cunt to other people. It's Men's Mental Health Month. We'll break that down later. And just before we get into Jacob's experience this week in Wollongong, I just want to talk about sort of where I'm going with plyometrics. Because one thing I will say, this is the thing, and the Matt Watson glaze. I'm just kidding. No, I got, and this isn't even been so Matt Watson pilled, like, because I know Matt Watson's into these sort of things, but specifically a big part of Matt Watson's influence on me was getting into like locomotive plyometrics. That's the leaping, hopping, bounding, like moving about. Oh, sorry, he promotes stationary versions versus like, I think classically when people are thinking about plyometrics, it's more like the shock method, like Verkhoshansky, like doing depth drops. What's the other one? Depth drops and
counter movement jumps? No.
there's one that's whatever,
Box jump.
depth drops and shit like that, like coming down off boxes and things like that. So I think I need to flirt with those types of players, just non-locomotive players, a little bit more.
Oh,
I
really?
think it's an underexplored part of my training and therefore coaching as well, because so many of my training experiences ultimately inform my coaching system as well.
One more thing around.
I just don't touch those things.
Yeah. One more thing around the
Just have a go, dude.
circling back.
Drop jumps and depth jumps. Sorry, were the two sort of.
Got him there.
I was listening to myself. Sorry, what were you
I
saying?
said, just have a go. Just fucking try.
Yeah.
No, that's
Take a
what
leaf out of your
I'm
own
gonna
book.
do. I don't have any questions. I'm gonna try them, and then I'll have some fucking questions.
One more thing is, I want to give you this analogy, circling back to the original statement that you made to begin this podcast, is what if some guy came up to you on the gym floor, let's say back in the day, and they were like, ask you the same question. Would you be the same, give him the same sort of lesson there, or would you?
Yeah,
be
I'd probably chew their ear off for half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they'd probably be like, "What the fuck's wrong with this?"
Because when I think
Can
of
you
that,
bring down those blinds just to the tip of the escarpment?
Yeah, sure.
The sun's drilling me.
Oh,
right now,
okay.
sorry.
Do you want these sunnies instead?
Can I take my sunnies?
Yeah. These ones?
Yeah, please.
Versace. Oh no, Prada.
No, yeah, because we want the light in the room. Hey.
No, just because I'm thinking of that, like being on the gym floor, I'd be like, oh yeah, like good question. I'd recommend this, and then give them the ramble there. When it's in such
if I was on the gym floor with him, I'd be like, well, "Let me see your leap. Let me see your hop."
That's true. Okay. Yeah, just thinking about that in that sort of light, I think, especially if you want this person to be a part of our world.
No, 100%.
ethos.
Got to try to meet people where
So
they're
to be
at.
like-
That's it. That's what I wasn't doing. People ask these questions. I'm not meeting them where they're at. But I'm about to meet you where you're at.
Watch.
From now on. So yeah, come ask me some fucking dumb questions and I'm going to say something helpful. I'm going to stick that spoon straight in the mouth. And this, I knew this, right? Like as my following grew, I was always going to get more silly questions because just the way, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
You accumulate 55,000 odd followers, you're going to have a few silly geese in there. And I think I used to be like, no, fuck the silly geese. I just want to sort of help the people that are a little bit closer, a little bit more. I have an ego. I want to educate advanced, higher level coaches and things like that. Where I'm honest about it, I actually have become more passionate about helping coaches at all stages of the journey.
Well,
like a big part of that is just being like, just drop the fucking ego, like just help people. Man.
Well, I think it's also a cool sign, surely, because I imagine the bigger you get, the wider your net will get from getting people who are like really entrenched in the scene and like really specific and are already super far down the journey. And like the fact you're getting like maybe more basic questions is evidence to the fact that like you're catching people earlier on in the journey. And like that kind of means it's also probably nice for the impact you want to have on the industry, and that like you're undoing less bad habits and creating more good ones, getting people earlier on, right? Which is probably also an easier zone to be in.
Like I would say that my first, how far do I want to go back here? I'm going to be inaccurate with this timeline. I would dare say at least my first 2 years of consistent content creation was just me trying to show everyone how smart I was.
Yeah.
Wasn't actually,
I mean, I think
as
that's
helpful
what
in
S&C
hindsight.
coaches fall into, the big
Oh
trap
yeah,
of-
and now I say it to other coaches, and some listen to me, some don't. But the ones that don't, I completely understand because I wasn't listening to coaches who were saying that to me. So
To play devil's advocate as well, I do think people are genuinely lazy and don't like, even if you don't want to act like in our example, like listen to the full course content or whatever like that.
please do GPP level 1. God,
Yeah,
it's
just
fucking
do
good.
the whole course content and then have questions. That's where I'll play devil's advocate. Those people need to...
Don't be like
just-
Papochka, my little angel in GPP level 1, who asked me a million fucking questions in the Discord, and I was I was crashing out because I'm like, fucking anyone who's in GPP level 1, you're in the family. I'm gonna help you. But then after answering his probably 80th fucking question of the day, I was like, have you listened to any of the pre-recorded modules? He was like, oh, nah.
Yeah, they're there for a reason.
And I was like, fuck me. That's a me problem for not asking the right questions.
Yeah.
I can't get angry at him.
we should have an achievement.
He's just come in, paid his $350 and be like, I'm going to get some value for money here.
Instant value. Even though the recordings is instant value. We should have like an unlock thing on the Discord.
He's watched the
channel.
pre-recorded content now. The questions are leveling up. And he's a legend. He's got, it's not even just like he likes John Evans. He likes, he's in the similar sorts of circles. So
We love.
Jacob,
Yes.
first time in the gong. Before we get into any of the stories from this week, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10.
A scale of 1 to 10. Are we talking about anything individually or just the whole
fucking
thing?
Give me a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm gonna
I won't
go.
be offended.
I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10.
What do you rate Melbourne?
Well, this is the overall score that you're wanting. I'll rate Melbourne an 8.5, 9.
Really?
Yeah.
What are we losing points for? What's your scoring
Family
system?
and friends.
Okay.
So that's why if you wanted a vague rating, I'll give you a vague rating.
Okay. Let's take.
Out of curiosity, what would a 5 be on your scale? Can you think of somewhere that's a 5?
A 5 that everyone would know.
It's hard.
Oh, maybe like
You're gonna have to shit on a whole country or
Fuck
city.
yeah. Oh, a country like a Fiji.
Oh, heavy.
It's
I've
just
never been to
the
Fiji.
resort really that is
Yeah.
there, like in a bit of sun, or maybe Cairns.
All right.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, Cairns is
whatever.
a bit of a shithole.
Yeah, Cairns.
Sorry to anyone from Cairns out there.
All right, so
I say it's a shithole. The Great Barrier Reef is fucking stunning.
Yeah.
I saw people surf on the Great Barrier Reef.
What?
Didn't know it could be done.
Wow.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
that good for the reef?
Yeah, you don't.
The fish
You're
are
not, you're not spilling oil out the back of your fucking surfboard. Okay, so fucking surfboard blanks are oil based. So obviously, if you snap your board and just throw it into the ocean when you're done, which I don't, people don't do that. But
Yeah.
in theory, I guess like more boats up there, maybe more pollution. Or look, we'll cover that another time.
Yeah.
What did we do on Monday, Jacob? Took you into the gym.
Yep. Straight into the gym.
Met the great
Hit-
Joey Zingini, the
Yep.
godfather of power building in.
Chich.
Is he the godfather of power building in Australia? At least the gong. I mean, and that's the most important.
He
part
definitely
of
had a bit of
Australia.
aura about him.
Shout out to the Chich, also one of the strongest 74
Chich.
kilo lifters in the country.
Yep.
Huge ass.
Huge ass. I was literally
Huge
just
ass.
about to say that.
Yeah.
I walked. I looked back.
I've introduced 2 people to Chich in the last week, and both of them, as soon as he was out of earshot, they should have just said it to his face because he'd get G'd up about it.
I was like,
They're like,
yeah,
huge
damn
ass.
it.
Oh, sorry, you said
Shit.
that. Burns, my mate Burns, who I go on surf trips with, he's come into the gym. We'll get into that. When I introduced him to Chich, I was like, Chich squats 260. He was like, look at his ass. Of course he does.
It's like chicks would pay top dollar for a BBL that looks like that.
I don't think it's that big.
Dude,
I'm
that is
desensitized
huge,
to like
man.
male booty. I hang around too many powerlifters.
If he was to come out of a corner backing up, his ass would be the very first thing you'd see.
Like if you
for a solid 2 to 3 seconds.
The way Chich's ass is stored in my brain, like I don't think it's much bigger than Joey Zingini's ass.
Well, I didn't have it. Well, Joey Zingini's didn't give me that
I'll
reaction.
get the tape measure out tonight. I'll measure their hip circumference.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll be a sight.
how many people have you introduced to Joey Zingini that after they've met him and gone, fucking look at the arse?
And maybe he walked away backwards. He didn't turn around when he was
It might have been the
leaving
trackies that
conversation
Chich
or
was wearing,
something.
but god damn.
I want to
Sorry.
bring Harvey into the gym now and be like, based on ass size, I want you to identify Chich.
Yeah. That's a reason why you should come train.
we tell you what, we should do an in-person potty with Chich. Because he's pretty GPP pilled. And he's a
Yeah.
great
Oh, yeah.
powerlifting
I saw
coach.
he was doing some really gnarly athletic development training in that.
But that was probably with some of his young soccer
Ah,
clients. So he
okay.
does do a bit of gen. And all the best coaches do, like Joey Zingini, he does a bit of gen pop. Not so. Oh, he has done a bit of S&C. Crazy crossover. Joey Zingini. Oh no, we've talked about him enough on the show, and he's been on my YouTube channel. We'll get Joey on the podcast. But Joey was Jack Darcy's first personal trainer.
Jack Darcy.
Jack Hammond.
Yeah, I feel like Jack.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sprinter, bionic legs. Yeah,
I
crazy.
think Jack told this story on the pod, right?
Did he?
I think I remember you mentioned Joey Zingini, and he was like, "Funny story."
Oh,
Joey's
right.
yeah.
Sort of came up.
Yeah.
Is Jack Darcy from the Gong?
Jack Darcy is from, I could be a little bit off here, Camden, Picton area.
Okay.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But yeah, Monday hit some squats. What else did we do?
You said that the gym was smaller than you thought it would be.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
broke
it
my
looks-
heart a little bit. I wanted you to be marveling at it.
No, it's a really good gym. I really like it. It's got like what gym has an aths track strip, Olympic lifting
I've
platforms.
been calling it a 2-lane 20-meter track. In reality, I think it's a 40-meter
No,
track.
it's we sort of discussed it. It was like
Yeah.
30 to 40.
Because we were doing our 0 to 5s and we marked it out with chalk, and it's definitely not taking up a quarter of it.
No, and we had room at the back as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a track, powerlifting equipment, Alico benches,
MMA area. with
MMA
mats.
area, some us areas,
Mm.
plenty of accessories. Great gym.
Got a
Great
seated calf raise this week.
Yep. Huge for the Soleus gains. But yeah, it just looked bigger online, that's all.
Okay.
It's not a small gym. So but yeah, we hit some squats, hit some bench, and then what did we do after? Had pizza here. Zeros.
Oh, God.
So we
yeah.
did,
Shout
yeah.
out to Ciro's.
Fucking
So
hell.
as well, whenever I flash this jersey on Instagram, everyone's like, "Oh man, what team is that a retro jersey for? It looks fucking phenomenal." It's my local pizza shop.
It's a fucking pizza shop.
You know what's crazy? The pizza's even better. I mean, the
pizza's 10 times better.
but like this is, I can't speak highly enough about this shirt. As soon as they dropped the pic of this on IG, I was like DMing and being like, no, don't stick it in the mail. I'm coming down to pick it up. I need that thing on me this afternoon. And I'm just glad that everyone else has been as G'd about it as I have been. But yeah, it's just the pizza is, I mean, Jacob, I told you that was going to be a good pizza. So you would have had your expectations set sky fucking high. When that sage, honey, cheese
I got to get another one of those before I go.
Pan cheddar hit your lips. Oh,
fucking hell. That was so good. I'm a big cheese fiend, and that just hit all the cravings spots. And I'm from Melbourne, where the pizza game is quite high as well.
Yeah.
The wood fire pizza game is so good.
The rule doesn't deserve, like, we already have so many treats here, you know. And
it must be
when I say not
business.
just food based, I'm talking about the landscape, the mountains and the sea, the climate. And then to have elite pizza on top of that, it's fucking just, it's a bit too much, honestly.
Yeah. It was insane.
Crazy. It's pretty crazy.
So yeah, the boys hang out, had a yarn, had some pizza.
If you want to learn more about the general physical preparation training philosophy, we put together an extremely practical course covering all the different aspects of physical preparation, as well as a unit on programming, so you know how to tie it all together and produce the same world-class results that we get with our athletes. We've got pre-recorded lectures, a community page where you can ask questions and interact with the other GPP coaches, as well as monthly calls where you can ask questions live or just catch up and hang out with us. Check out the link in the show notes for more info. Anyway, back to the show.
Then we go into a great resisted acceleration on Tuesday.
Yes.
Jacob wouldn't stop false starting. It's crazy.
Okay.
Crazy. He was trying to pretend he heard the clap. Like he's got this fucking... I don't know what the fuck you were trying to pull. I could not believe it. Like,
let me interject here.
Can I just... okay. What do you got to say for yourself?
What I got to say for myself is I did around 4 false starts. 4.
I'm glad that's finally being acknowledged.
Okay, yeah, of course. The first 2 were absolutely egregious. Namely,
this is making me feel a lot better. You were gaslighting.
Okay, no. I'm going to give you. The first one was absolutely fucked. The second one was equally fucked. The third and fourth one, it was a false start, I'll say, but God, it was like Olympic level analysis from Gus in the instant replay, going frame by frame at the clap and when I moved. Which, you know, when you lose twice like that, you want to cope that way.
There's fucking not many frames in the whole thing, you know?
All right, anyway. So I smoked Gus in the third and fourth tries.
With a false start by
milliseconds. And then when I actually...
You can't quantify the psychological distress of seeing your competitor get out ahead with an advantage like that and just how defeating that is.
Oh, that's a you problem, mate.
Here, but
that's a you problem. It's a race.
I've been open about being an extraordinarily mentally weak athlete.
Yeah, okay. And so, yeah, third and fourth, smoked.
Just quickly, I want a bit of psychoanalysis. Does this come from insecurity about not being quick enough, or does it come from sheer competitiveness? Where does the false start come from mentally?
It's getting out of the line as quickly as possible.
Competitiveness.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm not going to be like, I have to win, so I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
Like, I back myself.
Do you back yourself to wait and hear the clap? You did on the last one, I guess, where I beat you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted to give him his win. And then you should have seen the big sally from Gus after he got his win.
Oh, so good.
That last one, I made sure I heard the full audio clip. The very
that's
start
what I said.
I
was like, Jacob, I need you to...
end.
I don't want you to just hear the clap. I was like, experience the clap.
Like, the audio got into my ear. It went up to my brain. I was like, my brain was,
went through the
clap.
Little earworm.
That's a clap. Came back out, and then I started. So it was a very, very honest start, and you did beat me.
Yes.
So there you go. So officially, Gus is faster, 0 to 5. But that's my case.
We've got to test the next time you come up. We'll do maybe going straight to 100's a bit too much of a jump. I mean, we can handle it. Should we just go straight to 100? Because already I'm thinking, I'd love to see us go down over a 200. I love a 200. 200 is a great distance.
400? As soon as he knows.
No, we'll do it. No. And that's the thing. I think probably get fucking drilled in a fucking 200. too much language, rein it back in. But I reckon I can get you on a 100.
Yeah, you get me on a 100.
I wonder though. I wonder because that's the thing with the long-legged man. It's like takes some time to get going.
I will put my hand up and say you will smash me in a 100.
You think?
Yep, 100%.
You were saying that before the 0 to 5s. It was pretty close.
You'd smash.
But then
me
how much can you beat someone in a 0 to 5? I mean, you can only beat them by 5 meters max. Well, that's pretty unreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in 100 meters, beating someone by 5 meters, it's
yeah, I get
it's
you.
not
I get
thrashing them, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
But yeah,
Like you're running at 10 meters a second, let's say. That's 5 meters. Half a second, sorry.
yeah,
That's
pretty far. It's a pretty sizable gap.
It's a sizable gap. Yeah.
Yep.
Not competitive. Like if you've beaten someone by that long, you should be able to beat them every single time, I guess.
Yep. The margin for error is quite wide.
Yeah, and then so big weekend, a big week of sport. Then we got in the pool. Jacob's just been a great sport about just jumping into my full weekly protocol, which is like pretty intense to be fair, because me and my mate Burns have been on a real swimming kick lately as we prepare for this New Zealand surf trip. Do you have a newfound respect for elite swimmers such as me and Burnsy?
Yeah, I mean, I had at first go at the 0 to 50 in the pool. Went out a bit too hard, and I was like, "Fuck."
You have the worst proportions imaginable for swimming. You're the reverse fish.
The reverse
The Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man.
Yeah, just tiny thorax, big limbs. Oh, it's not even that, because long arms are good for swimming. It's the lack of torso.
Yeah.
But the big feet, you got some flippers on you.
Yeah, I got some pretty big feet, size 13, size 12.
But yeah, I just think there's no way around it. The short torso, something about it doesn't work in the pool.
Yeah, the 0 to 50, I was just looking at the ground. I'm like, yep, there's a bit of a dip here, so it's about to end. I'm like, oh no, we're only a third of the way.
Yeah.
Sick. And yeah, it was pretty gassed, but slowly got better. Took some tips from Gus and Burnsy because they were watching a YouTube or multiple YouTube videos of some good swimming techniques. So took that on board. I think I
stayed up about 2 hours past my bedtime. One, watching breakdowns of the Israel-Iran conflict, but then quickly moved across to watching elite swimming technique because when I saw my dive, so I filmed my first 53 about a week ago, and I saw my dive and I was like, what the fuck is that? That's nowhere near close to what was going on in my mind's eye, what I thought my body was expressing. Arms out to the fucking sides, legs spread when I was hitting the water. Like, this is not hydrodynamic. You need to snap your arms to your ears, make sure your fingertips are touching, make sure your legs are together. And I got much closer to that, but still my dive position was shit. I mean, everyone was giving me props in the comment section, my 28.9 53 attempt. But a lot of people are saying if I can clean up that start, which I agree with, there's easily another second there.
Yeah.
Sick.
Do you think so?
Yeah, but that's the fastest I've ever swum. Shit, this is again just more glaze for the GPP model. I was so lacking physical qualities back when I was swimming, squad swimming 4 or 5 mornings a week, knocking out kilometer after kilometer. Must have just been such a fucking weak dog.
Do you think the squad's training system was a bit shite when it came to like what they were trying to improve?
The GPP group program is the best deal in strength and conditioning. For less than $1 a day, you get access to my programming as well as access to me through a group chat where you can reach out, ask questions, or have a form check. You can even get a week for free before you commit to it. Check out the show notes for more info.
I don't want to shit on my old swimming coach because this is something that's just been a silly dogma in swimming for so long. Not that I was a 53 specialist. I mean, I wasn't an anything specialist. I was a not drowning specialist. But everyone, regardless of the distance you were supposedly specializing in, would just be in the pool just racking up miles. Not miles without a break, but minimum set would be like 200. It was so rare that we were even doing sets of 100, let alone sets of 50s and things like that. They just treated it like an endurance sport. But I didn't, and just like as a youth, I was like, surely if you were trying to max out 53 performance, you would just do more 50s, hell, maybe even some 25s and things like that. Like, dare I say, even letting it be the bulk of your training. Anyway, years fucking go on. We had a guy on the podcast who was sort of known as a bit of a free thinker. I think he was a swimmer, Michael, some bloke from the States, really good 200-meter swimmer. And he was notorious for only swimming at race pace. That was sort of his model. He would do distance, most of it was shorter work than 200 meters, but he would just swim at race pace because he was like, well, yeah, I'm not trying to prepare for a
SPP
fucking
is fuck.
1500. Not trying to prepare to swim slow.
Mm.
Just want to fucking prepare to swim 200 meters at a certain speed.
Mm.
And then Cam McAvoy, I believe in 2023, was just talking about, oh yeah, like people were praising his new revolutionary fucking sprint swimming program. He was like, yeah, I just fucking looked at other sports and they train with a bit of specificity. He was like, I noticed that 100 meters sprinters weren't running that many miles. And he was like, what if I, as someone who's trying to swim 50 meters fast, swim a lot of shorter distances?
Apply that same concept.
And people like, oh, how could he be so bold? And this is crazy talk. It's like, swimming coaches are fucking idiots. Sorry, I'm just broadly speaking, you know?
No, and I guess it's that thing as well. Now, you're probably coming at it, we're obviously coming at it from a different lens. You're like fucking, 10, 15 years in the future.
I'm a bit of a skeptic.
But I guess, you know, you are getting back in the pool now to aid your surfing and to help that. So, like, you probably are looking to, like, sprint most of the time, right? Like, that's pretty much what you're doing.
So this is another thing. So I got in the pool. I should be racking up miles. I just got distracted because I was like, oh, I wonder what my 50 free time is. And I was so close to a lifetime PR. My first session back in the pool, I hit a lifetime PR yesterday with that 28.9. I've never swum under 29 seconds in my fucking life. This is my 5th swim back. And yes, it's good to be able to have a bit of top end speed paddle into waves, but I mainly just wanted to increase my fitness and my capacity for paddling. So really that's going to come from racking up miles and just those longer distances. I sort of just got distracted with these sprints.
Interesting. So
as is, you know, that is just the way I am, going on side quests constantly.
Totally. So this might be slightly unanswerable, I guess, but like it seems to me whenever people talk about like the elite of the elite surfers, like I've heard people say that Kelly Slater, kind of what made him so good was that he's just so fucking fast. Is that
at paddling?
Well, like I mean, he just seems to be so fast when he's on the wave.
Oh, right, yeah.
But I'm like, surely to get there, that's a lot to do with how quick he is.
You'll relate to
right?
this as a fucking guitar shredder, smooth as fast.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is so
to answer that, I don't think Kelly is particularly fast. Like if you want to see a surfer who's probably the quickest we've ever seen, I'd say like Felipe Toledo is someone.
But do you reckon?
Can we move on from Kelly Slater because he gave himself a wild card to Trestles because he sponsored the event. He's 54 now and he actually started to look a bit old. And I was like, Kelly, hurts seeing you like this, man.
No,
really?
Yeah, got emotional.
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is, do you reckon so?
But Kelly was just.
No,
what do we say
about
Kelly?
But do you reckon they're getting in the pool? Do you reckon they're smashing out sprints?
Nah. So surfing has very much been. I mean, and this is the thing. You come to me and you're like, Angus, I want to be the best surfer possible. I'm just going to surf. I'll be like, mate, that's a pretty good fucking plan.
Yeah.
But so Mick Fanning was into a bit of S&C. He's a 3-time world champion. But the main reason he got into S&C was because he had a crazy hamstring tear. He might have had an injury before that. He was also getting no SIBO because he had a bit of kyphosis and stuff like that. But yeah, he had a crazy hamstring tear. So did a bit of S&C to rehab it. And then just kept going with it because he was like, I might be better than ever.
Yeah.
Some physical qualities and things like that. So I think for certain people it really can help. But yeah, the main thing with surfing is that you're surfing. And historically, up until I would say the last like 5, maybe even a little bit beyond that years, people have just been surfing. Since surfing has been included in the Olympics, sorry, just talking about this out loud, surfing's been in 2 Olympics. Fucking, it's close to, it got led into announced as an Olympic sport like 10 fucking years ago now. So last 10 years, there's been a spike in S&C for surfing, and fuck. Oh, Jesus. It's terrible. I mean, you know what surfers are like. It's the same as the early days of S&C and MMA, where it's just a lot of, what's the way to describe it? Functional nonsense. Highly specific.
Are we going to talk about
the shit yesterday? I ratioed a surfing magazine yesterday for talking about
it was
surfing S&C. That got me pretty horny. Sorry, what was the actual question?
Yeah, that was
They're
a
saying
Oh,
about
yeah, yeah,
Kelly,
yeah.
and they're saying about
That's
S&C,
what I was saying.
the role
So-
of S&C for
Yeah, do you
surfers.
think any of those pro guys, like, are they smashing out 50 frees? Like, are they trying to beat like, do you think that's something there?
No, because they're some of them are. So Jack Robbo, he'll do some pool training when he's not with his shit cunt of a fucking main personal trainer. Someone got him in the pool. I hate fucking. Should I even get into this? But no, they're doing so much paddling, and that's a big part of why I'm in the pool, because I'm not maxing out the surfing. You know what I mean? If I was surfing every single day, I probably wouldn't feel the need to hop in the pool, but it's because I average surfing sort of 3-4 times a week. I was thinking that just additional 2 pool sessions would be really helpful. And this is realistic for most surfers. They're not surfing enough. So in order to maximize their fitness for surfing, they should be doing some swimming.
To even out the
pro
stimulus?
surfers, they're doing so much paddling
Yeah.
that they don't need to rack up more miles on their shoulders. If anything, just lifting a bit of weights, bit of variability, bit of GPP. That's good enough for them. In elite surfing, like I was posting on my story the other day, and it wasn't even an aerial maneuver. It was just Dion Aegis absolutely sending a fucking floater on probably a 6 to 8 foot wave. I was bigger than that. So when if you're a call lord in surfing, you'll see a wave face that's 10 foot and call it 6 foot because you're just trying to seem like a hard cunt, and that's just the way it is. So Dion Aegis was basically falling from the first story of a building onto flat water on a hard fiberglass board. I'm like, that man could use some pliers. Like a lot of surfers, high-level surfers find themselves in those sorts of positions. Even if you're not doing on such a big wave, even if you're on a 3-foot wave, a lot of elite surfers will do an aerial maneuver that's, fucking 10 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Off a 3 foot.
It's quite a bit of fucking impact.
Yeah.
Is that so you're landing on the water?
There's just a lot of hard landings. And a lot of people, it's water. But it's like, no, you're landing on a hard surfboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I would look at like skateboarding or like snow. Like I look at all these sports and like classify them as extreme sports,
Thank you.
But like I don't really bracket, in my head anyway, I don't bracket surfing as that for no reason. As soon as I think about it, I'm like, oh, fucking yeah, of course it is. But like, yeah, for whatever reason, it's not where my head goes when I think about it. It's interesting.
No, it's very intense on the body. Jacob went for a surf today.
Oh, yeah, how was it? How was it? We've been trying to not ask you any questions about it until this point.
Oh dear. So
we got him a wetsuit.
Yeah.
It was, and to
shout
be
out
fair,
to Benzie.
what wasn't ideal learner conditions. Yesterday was ideal learner conditions. It was meant to be flat all week, but the swell jacked up a little bit overnight. It was probably some 2.5 foot today.
Is that 2.5?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. That's
Is that you core lording it, or was it actually 2.5?
You don't want to be caught dead calling that 3 foot. You have to leave town.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So that 2.5 foot felt like a fucking tsunami when I was staring at the barrel of a fucking wave.
Well, and you see it now because it's like you're laying on your tummy, so everything looks bigger.
Yeah, that shit was scary as fuck. Yeah, so I got out there, had a paddle. I'm like, okay, I can't stay on this fucking board to save my fucking life.
So this is the thing. This is the caveat. Jacob had a hard time. I underestimated the size of the man. I overestimated the size of my smaller
95
log.
kegs.
And because I just didn't want to cart my big board over from my parents' place. I store my big boards in my parents' garage because I don't want to take up the space of my apartment. Sorry,
Hell
mum
yeah.
and dad.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to have to lug the big board over though because Jacob's a big man.
Yeah, I'm heavy as fuck, 95. Prime bulking.
Do you like the faith I had in you?
Yeah.
As in, like, he'll be able to get it done on this. I was wrong, but it's because I believed in you.
No, that's good. And I'm glad that you had that belief in me and I had that belief in you that, I'll just fucking do whatever. So yeah, paddling out and yeah, fuck. It was tough on the shoulders, on the neck, balancing on the board. Gus was telling me around probably 58 times to keep my feet together, but I think I just naturally wanted to, increase my center of mass.
This is the thing he was struggling with. The board was tipping.
Yeah.
But it was because he was paddling too slow because his legs were wide. He had his legs wide for balance. But there is this, it's like riding a bike. You need to, the quicker you get it going, the more stable it's going to be. But at the start, that's just really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the first round in the ocean was getting collected by waves like it was no one's business. Felt like I was in a fucking Samsung washing machine, just going crazy in there. But I kept going out, got to the cooler waters, to the calm waters in the back. And Gus was giving me a speech, and I was just trying not to die on the board. Try to sit on the board quite hard. I just guess that energy was just quite low. And then we went down the coast.
We absolutely love doing this show. And one of the most exciting things for us is watching it grow because it means we can commit more time to it, as well as have access to better guests to bring you even more quality content. One of the most impactful ways you can help us grow the show is by shouting it out, screenshotting this episode, and sharing it on your stories to let people know that you're listening. Don't underestimate how influential you can be on helping us grow this show, and we appreciate it so much.
Went down a bit to the left of the beach where the waves were a bit better. I was really hesitating. You could see my face. I was like, fuck, I don't want to go out there again. Because after that first time on the waves, I was on the board like half dead. Like I felt after running that mile, I was so fucking exhausted.
Yeah, the first part of the beach we went to, I took him out the less crowded part, but it was also a little bit tougher conditions. Like there wasn't a sandbank where you could just walk out the whole way. It was sort of this mid-zone where it was too deep to stand up, but there was still a lot of waves breaking. So again, I have a pattern. I've realized that I'm the problem. Everyone I introduce into surfing doesn't go that well in their first session. I'm always too optimistic about it. Be like, they'll be fine in this. And then they're usually battling.
I was just trying to give myself a pep talk like, come on, let's go. But yeah, went to the second time where I could stand up a bit further.
It was easy to walk out.
Yeah.
We could walk out half the distance.
I could walk out, half the distance. And then I caught one.
You were fucked by that point.
Yeah, I was so toast. My energy was toast. My shoulders were toast. My neck was toast. But I caught one in this sort of half kneeling position. So with one knee on and then one foot planted. And I rode it out for a bit and then went a couple more times and then we sort of called it there. Because Gus went in before I went for my second time and realized that the board was pretty...
Yeah, even when I hopped on it, I was sort of imagining trying to learn on the thing. Or even my first couple of paddles, I was like, fuck, this is way tippier than I remember. Not an ideal learner's board. We're going to regroup, get him back out there tomorrow on a bigger board that's a lot more stable, a lot more paddle power.
Yeah, should be good. But yeah, that has been Wollongong thus far. And overall, been a great experience. Watched Origin as well.
Oh, yeah.
Getting broken down the game was
That
cool.
would have been
That's the best
a
experience.
record-breaking comeback.
Yeah, if
I didn't realize that. I mean, it makes sense. It was fucking 24. Was it? Roughly a 24-point comeback.
Yeah, it was insane. But it was a great first... Oh, I've watched a couple of games, but a first proper start-to-finish game to watch. And yeah, really... I actually liked the game.
Nah, that was good old-fashioned Origin footy. I mean,
it was great.
It was in Perth. I don't know why I do know why they do it, but I wish they would stop giving games away to Perth.
Yeah, and I sort of made a realization. I'm like, okay, this is like the top of the top of the top of the tier of NRL.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be like this
100%
every time, but
It's like Russia versus Russia in weightlifting. Origin.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Jamaica versus Jamaica in sprinting or something.
Yes.
totally. Because that's it. Because I've never been huge on rugby league, but like I've always said, if you're gonna watch it, watch State of Origin.
Oh,
It's pretty much as good as it gets, and it's also the closest I think it ever feels to there being any kind of genuine like animosity between sides and between fans. Like realistically, on the grand schemes, and this is me coming from a
guys
fucking,
will dog shot their team, mate.
Oh yeah, and like to be fair, this is me coming from a fucking Glasgow soccer background. Like you're never gonna reach those levels, but it's the closest I think there ever feels to like genuine like fans 100%. Hating other fans, players hating other players. Like there's like a legacy there of people hating each other. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
like,
yeah.
So I think that's as good as it gets. And imagine, Jacob, I don't know, because you've got an AFL team, right?
Yeah, I got an AFL team,
and like I've never spent. I want to get more into AFL, but it seems to me everyone I know who like has lived in Melbourne or like grew up in Melbourne, it seems like there is that kind of like football culture about it. Like fans hate other fans. Like,
true, yeah.
Definitely on the Victorian side, it's much more intense. But as soon as you go down to, well, technically the Brisbane team is technically originally a Victorian team.
Oh, okay.
So the Brisbane Lions were the Fitzroy Lions, and the Fitzroys in Melbourne.
Right.
But apart from that, if you go outside of Victoria, the rivalry is not that huge. I mean, you could actually the Adelaide Derby, the Adelaide and Port Adelaide, they get a bit rowdy. But apart from that, if the Victorian teams do get quite derby-ish with each other, and it's like it's not even derby; it's more like we all hate each other.
100%. And
there's some teams that get all let off the hook, but we basically all teams hate each other.
Totally, and that's what I mean. And I'm not saying that like you should get into sport to hate other teams, but like
it makes it interesting.
I think it gives it that atmosphere.
100%.
And like I think I don't know. I think if you watch it, if you're trying to get into a game, I think it can kind of take a while before you understand the nuance of a sport or like get that. But like if you can go there and feel it and feel people fucking feeling something, like
the
that
emotion.
hooks you. That
It's the
hooks
best.
you, you know?
Yes.
Sport is like a big vessel for like I think just men expressing just deeper emotions and things like that that are just otherwise lacking in our lives.
Oh,
Not
totally.
really. Is it just more anger?
Oh, like
Yeah.
and it's a trick. It's a trick.
No, because it's also it's a place where you can cry and
Mate, you don't get
you
like
kiss another man, slap
Yeah,
him on the bum.
yeah,
you know?
literally. You don't
Yeah.
get people, strangers hugging.
No, yeah, you
within-
see like men just like embracing
Yeah,
each other,
hugging and kissing each
sports
other.
For women, sports for every gender.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you
I
never
th-
see that shit
totally. But I think you're saying that
apart from sport.
you're saying that from the background of like, I think a lot of the time men or traditionally like men who are really into sport don't show a lot of emotion
Yes.
until you kind of see them in like a
Yeah,
heated
even the
sport and
biggest
thing, you
man's
know?
man
Yeah.
will shed a tear for Origin.
Yeah, sure. Like, totally.
Like, I never saw my dad crying over Origin. I think I seen my dad cry 1 or 2 times in my life. But just to make the point, if he did cry over Origin, it wouldn't have been a thing. Like, it would have been, oh, it's Origin.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. No, that was a good game though. That was a fun
Yeah,
game.
really
That was a
And as
interesting.
good
much
game.
as it's tough losing, I don't like it when it wraps up in the second game. I always
Yeah.
like seeing the full trilogy play out with the decider.
Well, I'd have to think that like that's surely why they're giving the second game to Perth and not the third game, right? Like surely the second game's most often where it's
I
decided.
mean, we shouldn't be giving them any games. Thank God it's not the third game.
Where's
Yeah.
the third game usually played?
It
What's-
alternates.
But it's Sydney this year, right?
Sydney this year.
Wow.
Should we go?
Read my mind. Paint ourselves blue.
I am not going as a
I also
Smurf.
might be in New Zealand. When's
Oh,
game
yeah.
three?
July 9th.
Wow. Why do you just know that off the top of your head?
It's Origin.
Watches one game.
No,
Because it's scheduled tattooed to him. I'll be in New Zealand.
Because today I was just on the NRL page and like looking Instagram page. Because I saw what's that
Lomax?
Baymax or Lomax?
Yeah.
Lomax.
Bitamax?
Yeah, I saw a clip of him elbowing some cunt, which happened in the game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I looked at the Instagram bio and it was like Australia's best sport. It's their first thing they say in the NRL description. And then it said the game,
What?
the decider game, July 9th.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I guess they'd say Australia's best sport because that's a very ambiguous term. They can't say most popular. They can't say most. But you can say
I don't
best.
know what the
I
exact
believe
verb was.
it is in terms
Not
of
verb,
TV ratings.
adjectivity.
I find that hard to believe.
Oh,
I
I
was
think
a
so.
little bit surprised. I thought AFL would have had it, but I think
Sure.
AFL definitely wrecks NRL in terms of live attendance. But I believe
Yeah.
in terms of TV viewership, NRL is the
Really?
most watched.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
think it's the biggest sport because you have two engaged
What else would there
states.
be? Are you talking to AFL?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I don't know how you can't cricket.
You have two more engaged states in in New South Wales and Queensland.
That is a bit
So I think
surprising.
that it'll
I just feel like
cricket, yeah.
if it was, and I'm basing this off,
and New Zealand too.
I'm basing this purely off speculation, but I just think if you were Australia's most watched sport, your slogan would be Australia's most watched sport, not Australia's best sport. Do you know
Why
what
don't
I
we
mean?
just fact check it?
I mean, the best is the best.
Let's just give it
According
a
to
fact check.
what?
52.
What- all that
Oh,
statistics.
you're saying if they had an objective metric, they would use it over just claiming outright being the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right,
that's what I
here we
mean.
go.
That's why I'm thinking it's
I think
very.
you're overestimating the intellectual capacity of the NRL
Wow,
machine.
no, they get a bit more clear cut. The number one sport in Australia and the Pacific.
Shit.
Yeah, and it is the 9th of July. I can't believe that stuck in my head. But yeah, the number one sport in Australia.
Yeah, is that what people
I just
playing
think
it?
that
People
there's so
watching?
much more NRL on telly as well. You've got is it 10 games a week on average, whereas cricket, like yes, you got the Ashes, which is huge, and
Yeah.
test matches and stuff. But I just
Well,
I wonder what their metric
that's
If
what
you
I
tell
mean,
that
yeah,
to
they're
anyone in Melbourne,
calculating
they'll
it.
be like, anyone that's probably based would be like, yeah, you're right. But any brainwashed AFL enjoyer would be like, nah, fuck that. But
I guess
say
it,
that the
yeah.
same with
I guess it
Queensland and
depends how you
New South Wales.
quantify it as well, because it's like, is it hour watched or is it like game watched? Because like you said, like cricket, there's just not as many games. obviously.
But it's
I
way
think that's
bigger.
it.
matches, but the hours that
But it's
clocks
not
up.
really Australia's sport. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that is a fair point. Because are you talking club sport? Are you talking international?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't own cricket. Well, we did for fucking my whole childhood, but things are different these days, unfortunately. Is it time to fucking go rip some big power cleans?
It may be.
Yeah,
How long have we been
power clean
recording for?
We're rocking like 55 minutes.
Oh, we gotta get in the old Oubre.
Okay.
Kelly Oubre Jr. to the gym.
Kelly Oubre Jr. That's a big shout out.
Thank you for tuning in. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
We'll
Bye.
we'll try and do in-person ones more often. but we'll
Yeah,
see.
that'll be good.
That was good.
That was good fun.